AIDS decimated the leather community at the beginning of the epidemic. Leather men were promiscuous and enjoying their sexuality and enjoying their play, and there were a lot of leather men taken in the first wave of AIDS. The market died because the people died. There were about 55 to 60 leather businesses at the peak in the end of the 1970s and early 1980s. Now there are approximately 12 to 15 leather and GLBT-oriented businesses. The history of the leather culture in San Francisco that we know of dates to the 1950s. It was a motorcycle-based culture in a lot of ways, because that was a way that men could go out and bond with other men, besides being in the bars or being in a sex club or being in a dungeon space. Leather was the masculine badge to wear. Down here was where men celebrated their masculinity, and they didn't have to be politically correct.
So we're at the corner of 9th and Harrison. This bar is called The Stud. This has been a gay and leather-friendly venue since the 1970s.
The landscape of this neighborhood has changed drastically in the last 40 years, of course, like many landscapes in San Francisco, through gentrification, through changes of use. In the old days, 60s to the early 80s, the South Market neighborhood was largely industrial. So it was a place that was dark at night for the most part. There were very few residences, and so the spaces were available for men to roam around and do their thing in semi-public. Ringgold Alley was a cruising destination. The building behind us didn't exist. This was a parking lot. It was a bus storage yard all the way to the next street. So at night there was a chain link fence here and a solid wall of buses. The street had no street lights on it, and the doorways had no doorway lights on them. So the street was entirely dark. It was a place where men would come down and cruise, mostly after the bars closed, find that partner that they hadn't found at the bar, and have a sexual experience in the great out of doors.
People actually do live here, which is fun.
Easy access, pull the boys in upstairs to my upper ground lair.
I feel it's important to preserve and to maintain and to enhance the leather districts in San Francisco. The preservation comes from acknowledging our history and honoring the history of this culture, so that people that are coming behind us know that this culture has existed